What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of Copenhagen? About 18 years ago, I studied for 6 months on a scholarship here in Denmark, in Aarhus. And they also took us on a trip for 1 week in Copenhagen. And ever since, I fell in love with this place. Now we are here just before my birthday because I wanted to celebrate it by taking an extended weekend trip. And to me, the first things that come to mind when I think of Copenhagen are cheap flights in winter. £75 for 2 people to fly here from London Stansted this January. Food in the restaurants is a bit more expensive, but it's very tasty. And I know the Danish people have something about ecological food, about organic food, and that's ever since 2000, since I've been here the first time. I love their bread and I love their cheese. And then the third thing is canals and bright colors, beautiful architecture. If you look around Newhaven here, where you can take the boats on a tour round to where the Little Mermaid is based, and then Christiania and Christianshavn, you might just feel the same as I do. It's beautiful architecture, it's worth seeing, and it's a city worth discovering. As you could see in the footage that I already recorded here in Newhaven, it's very busy and it's one of the most touristy spots in Copenhagen. But still, because I have been in Istanbul years ago, 2009, it's nothing compared to Istanbul. And just being around these little groups of tourists with their guides might help, because you catch pieces of information, such as Adrian just told me as we were walking past these terraces that one guide said these are so expensive that people don't even stop here for a drink. Also, I caught another piece of information saying that the Danish royal family brought an architect from Amsterdam to design this canal. And the actual area reminds Adrian of Amsterdam. He's got family there, so he visited. I haven't yet. But what he said is that this canal is wider, while in Amsterdam they are narrower and with a lot more bridges. That's maybe an interesting piece of information, at least I find it so. And here we come across our first mermaid. Oh, she's a little bit sexy, isn't she? The locks of love on the first bridge we come across. At the end of the canal I came across this panel which tells about its history from the 1600s. And at this point the canal opens up into the big harbour. A really good view around. And in the distance, that spire is the Church of Our Saviour, but it isn't accessible in winter because it might be dangerous to climb the stairs when it's all frozen. All of these layers of architecture just speak of what Copenhagen is. At the end of the canal, we came across this very modern bridge taking us to Christianshavn. All of the previous times I've been in Copenhagen, I've never crossed on foot over to this place of the city, which used to be where all the merchants and the warehouses were based. And you can actually see the buildings behind me, or I'll record a little bit later. It's that typical architecture for such types of buildings. Well, as you can see, we are very blessed with the weather today. It's so sunny and beautiful, but we came prepared. Gloves, hat, and both of us, Adrian and I, bought these new jackets because when I came here 3 years ago, I froze my backside off, really. Well, it's different this time. And I will show you my whole jacket, really warm and nice, bought from Go Outdoors in Wolverhampton. we going to take a trip to Reykjavik? Adrian? Get a boat and go! Bicycles in Copenhagen? Well, Copenhagen just doesn't exist without them. As we strolled on Christianshavn side, we came to this bank and it's twilight and the sunset light just feels so special. It doesn't just feel special. When you see the images that I've recorded here, you might agree with me. And then Adrian and I were talking about why the light here in Copenhagen and in Denmark seems different, with a certain glow to it. I was wondering if it's just the proximity to the sea, but what Adrian said, it's much norther than maybe the south of England or Romania. The light travels through more atmosphere, so that makes it more diffuse, and at the same time the shadows are not so sharp edged. And I'm sure you will see in the images we've taken here. Also, the twilight is longer. And I have to say, we've been strolling around here taking pictures for quite a while, and the sunset is still going on. It didn't just disappear as quick as I am used to maybe from Romania or other places. And also, if you look just behind me, the light reflected in the water. And I think Danish people just realized how to take advantage of that and use their architecture in a way that would reflect, use the light, use all of these qualities that we can just be fascinated with. Years ago, on my first trip to Copenhagen, when I studied at a school in Aarhus and they took us here, I had a picture taken by this fountain. I had completely forgotten about it until today. We just walked around and we came across it. Back then I had blonde hair, I had a bit of extra weight put on because of my health difficulties I faced that year, and it was very windy and very rainy and I had such a face. A friend, when he saw that picture in the next year, said, "Oh, you just look like a very cute child who had enough of the rain."